Hi, my name is Billy Norton. I'm the Retirement and Financial Education Coordinator for the Board of Benefit Services of the Reformed Church in America. I help ministers with personal finance. I help churches understand how Bob's works, and I'm so glad to be able to present to you why Bob's exists and what we offer for our churches and our ministers. So why does Bob's even exist? We all want to care for our ministers, and we want them to be able to serve in ministry well. Financial pressures can have a significant impact on their ability to serve the church. Ministers aren't in this to get wealthy, but they do want a roof over their heads, food to put on the table, enough to pay their medical expenses, and enough to be generous so that they can model giving to their congregations. When ministers aren't paid enough or don't have the right insurances, it causes a burden, not just once in a while, but an everyday stress that can impact their ability to minister well. And in fact, some ministers are paid so poorly over their careers that when they're ready to retire, they don't have enough savings to retire in dignity. And we found some ministers end up living in poverty after they're done serving the church so well for so long. And so the Reformed Church in America is serious about our covenant of care. Put simply, the covenant of care means that from the time that a minister is ordained through their passing away, we care for them. We make sure that we have structures in place to support them, both their spirits, emotionally, physically, and financially. And that's why the Board of Benefit Services exists. We exist to create a structure to help our churches and our classes care for our ministers, especially when it comes to those important financial elements that will cause them to serve the church well. So I'd like to walk you through the offerings that the Board of Benefit Services gives to our churches and our ministers in hopes that you'll start to understand them better and know how to access those services as well. All of the information that I'm about to share with you can be found in our annual Insurance and Retirement Benefits Guide, and that's easy to find on our website. Simply visit www.rca.org/AIRB. You can find this information and so much more. And whenever you have any questions or to access any of our services, simply email us at retirement@rca.org, and one of our staff members will be in contact with you to help you get set up with any of these services. So let's talk about our main program, the retirement program, the RCA 403B retirement program. This is a tax-deferred retirement program, meaning that money given by an employer or an employee is tax-deferred. So you don't pay taxes on it. And in fact, if ministers decide to contribute to their 403B retirement savings plan as well, it will lower their taxable income, saving them taxes in the present. The neat thing about this plan is that in retirement, ministers can also claim a housing allowance on their withdrawals. So that means that it could potentially go in tax-free and come out tax-free as well when it comes to federal income tax. It's a great savings tool, and it's a great way for ministers to have enough in retirement. So let me walk through what a church needs to know about contributing to a pastor's 403B plan. For a minister who's full-time, the church should calculate 11% of their salary and add that in addition to their salary into their 403B retirement account. There's also something called an EBPH minimum. That's to make sure that each minister is getting enough so that they can retire in dignity. So if the salary, 11% of it, is less than the EBPH minimum, the church should pay the EBPH minimum, whichever is greater. In 2022, the EBPH minimum will be just over $7,400. So you calculate either 11% of their salary or the EBPH minimum, whichever is greater. And on our website, we've got a great calculator that makes it easy to calculate what you should be contributing to your minister's retirement account. Additionally, if your minister lives in a parsonage, then you calculate 1.4 times their salary to calculate the proper retirement contribution. Now, if your minister is not full-time, the EBPH minimum does not apply. You simply calculate 11% of their salary, and that is what you should contribute into their retirement accounts. Now, this is a generous way for our churches to care for our pastors long-term, giving them every chance of retiring well and in dignity, to be able to have their basic needs met. But most retirement advisors recommend that people save 15% of their gross income so that they can retire well. So we encourage our pastors to contribute an additional 4% into their 403b accounts. This is really easy to do. Simply log on to netbenefits.com, access your account, and you can select to make employee contributions as well. The reality is that Social Security won't cover all of your expenses in retirement. So by saving now and saving early over time, you should have enough to retire well, to have your needs met, and to live the sort of retirement that you've dreamed of. Having good health insurance makes all the difference in the world, and that is why the RCA requires churches to provide health insurance for their full-time ministers and their families. The Board of Benefit Services no longer administers a health insurance program, but we do have a partnership with the Christian Reformed Church in North America called the RBA, or Reformed Benefits Association, which all our churches may access a health insurance plan through. Churches are not required to use the RBA, however. Churches may use the health insurance marketplace in their own state if they can find a better rate or a better plan. Something important to note is that whatever insurance plan the church chooses should meet the minimum standards found in the Annual Insurance and Retirement Benefits Guide. So be sure to check that before going with an insurance plan other than what the RBA offers. Having proper health insurance provides an element of wellness and security for both the minister and their family. Health and medical issues can be one of the most significantly challenging parts of any of our lives. And we know that when our ministers don't have enough to care for their medical needs or the medical needs of their families, it weighs heavily on them. This is a way that we care for our ministers and allow them to thrive in ministry. None of us like to think about death, but it is the one fact that we all face. And an untimely death can create a big burden on spouses and children. And so that's why life insurance is such an important piece of our covenant of care for our clergy. The RCA offers a fantastic term life insurance option. So churches are to provide for all of our ministers a term policy of $175,000. And the accidental death policy is twice that. It's a small rate for churches to pay annually, but it's a big security for our pastors and their families. You can find out how to enroll, again, by emailing retirement@rca.org. The other kind of insurance that Bob's administers is LTD insurance, or long-term disability. Should a minister become disabled and not be able to work any longer, long-term disability kicks in. This insurance is able to provide 2/3 of the minister's income in monthly payments to allow them to meet their needs as best as possible, even though they've been disabled. That benefit goes up to $5,000 per month, depending on their salary. That's also why it's important annually to report what the pastor's salary is to the Board of Benefit Services. That allows us to make sure that they are signed up for the appropriate insurance coverage. That allows us to make sure that if the minister were to become disabled, we could make sure they get the appropriate compensation in their insurance claim. Retirement, health insurance, life insurance, and long-term disability insurance are the main things that Bob's oversees. But what else does Bob's do? We know that this is deeper than just talking about numbers and asking churches to pay certain amounts of premiums for insurances and contributions to retirement accounts. It's not that simple. So much of our well-being is tied up in understanding how to budget, how clergy taxes work, how to talk about generosity and stewardship in our congregations. So Bob's is pleased to support pastors and churches in all sorts of different ways. Bob's offers a number of grants. We offer the Ministerial Excellence Fund, which ministers can apply for once a year. This helps to reduce and eliminate debt so that ministers can have a chance to gain financial health and thrive in ministry. We have the Assistance Fund, which helps retirees who don't have enough money to meet basic needs. We offer grants that help pay for things like mortgages or rent, hearing aids, or utilities. Bob's also offers grants to pair ministers with financial planners. We have a partnership with an organization called Everence. Financial planning allows clergy to learn how to budget, to make sure they have the proper insurances, to plan for retirement, to make sure that they're on track to meet their goals, and also to think about their charitable giving. Are they giving what they want to now? And what could they do to get there? Also, when they pass away and think about their estate, how do they want to give of what they have to the church and other charities that they care about? We also offer financial counseling and coaching to clergy. We partner with LSS Financial. They can help with student loan debt. They can help with other forms of debt. They can help our clergy get out of debt so that they're ready to take the next steps towards financial health. We're also beginning to create structures for leadership training, where pastors and elders and deacons can come together and learn how to talk about money in their congregations. Money can often be a taboo subject, and yet it's something that Jesus talks about quite frequently. We believe that we can help our pastors and leaders to talk about money in a faithful way, so that congregations are inspired not only to be generous in their communities and in the world, but also to care well for their pastors when it comes to compensation, retirement, and insurances. We offer resources. Clergy taxes can be very complicated and confusing. So on our website and in person, we offer resources so that churches can come to us for information on how to understand filing clergy taxes, on understanding how to pay them in, and understanding how to utilize the housing allowance, which is one of the greatest tax benefits that clergy can utilize. Visit our website or email me to learn more about the resources that we have that you can utilize. And finally, for our ministers, we have something called the Employee Assistance Program. This offers free, confidential counseling to any of our ministers who are going through a hard time. Call this number if you're interested in getting in touch with someone from the Employee Assistance Program who can pair you with a counselor. That's an overview of what Bob's does and why Bob's exists. We're here to help our churches care for our ministers because our ministers care so well for our churches. We're sure that you probably have a lot of questions after this, and we're sorry that I couldn't be with you in person today, but know that I'm always here to talk on the phone or via email, and we'd love to meet with you in person in the future so that we can have conversations, so that you may ask questions and know that we are here to serve you and assist you as you care for your churches, your ministers, and your communities. Thank you.